Hello, hi there, welcome to, oh my god, welcome to the video. It is the first real day, I'm gonna call it the first real day of Korea's rainy season. We got so many warnings about how much rain we were gonna get today, and I went out and I got a coffee and it was like a lovely little rain. And then I came home and now it's like a lot. I don't think my microphone will pick it up, but if you hear any kind of subtle banging in the background, the rain is hitting my window in such a violent way. So yeah, that's why it looks really dark. It is 11 a.m. I've got all the lights on in my house and it's this bright. So yeah, welcome. I hope this is just a cozy video that doesn't make too many people angry, but we're gonna talk about some unpopular opinions that you guys sent my way. I did a video about a year ago where I talked about your unpopular opinions, discussed them, and I wanted to do it again. And some of these are just funny, some of these I actually do like want to have a conversation. So it's gonna be a little mixed bag. Everyone will be kept anonymous. If you are interested in participating in videos like this in the future, I'm much more active like daily, consistently on my Instagram, which is always linked down below. But yeah, we'll get into it. But first, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor of this video who makes these silly little things possible, and that is Squarespace. It is a place to host your online presence. You can see an example at caricakes.net, where I have been using them for many years to host my blog, but because of different features like comment sections, email list possibilities, you can have membership subscription feeds, you can connect your social media accounts, you can monetize things, you can use Squarespace for so many different kinds of websites, and they have a bunch of free templates to make it really easy to actually set up that website. You can go to squarespace.com right now for free, play around with said templates, make your entire website, view it, and once you're ready to launch it, you can go to squarespace.com/caricanread and get 10% off of your first website or domain. I'm a big fan, been using them for ever since I made a website. And yeah, thank you so much to Squarespace. Information will be down below. Okay, so now I've got them. Nope, they're anonymous, but I have screenshotted them, organized them, because a lot of people had the same opinions. Here we go, unpopular opinions from the people who were silly enough to follow me on Instagram. Starting with, I got two, maybe more, but just two that I screenshotted, opinions. I'm sick of all the half-baked fairy stories. Can we do something new, please? And fairy books don't have very good magic. And I kind of agree. I think that with the popularity, especially of like romantasy, people have started using fae to just mean like hot person with like various kinds of magic, but sometimes that doesn't even matter that they have magic. So yeah, I agree. I would really like a fantasy that has a new interesting take on magic, and really like the focus is the magic itself. I'm trying to think of a book that has done magic really well recently. I honestly like can't even remember anything that I read, so maybe I should have taken notes beforehand. Yeah, I do think that we're seeing a lot of like fae that aren't really fae. I'm also kind of sick of like the fae just being code for hot, strong people. But on the other side of the coin, there's also people who enjoy the kind of formulaic fae romance book, and it's kind of more of like a comfort thing than necessarily you're looking for a really great new magic system. So I don't know. I'm definitely a person who enjoys the kind of comfort read, but then once I'm done reading it, I kind of get mad. I'm like, that's exactly what I knew it was gonna be. Even though, then why am I mad? Because I read it knowing what, you know? So anyway, yeah, I agree. I would love a fresh fae take, or not fae. I feel like people are now crazy about dragons. There was also someone who commented like, not every fantasy needs a dragon, and I feel like fantasies don't have a lot of dragons, so at least nowadays. So where are you getting all of your dragon books that you're sick of, my friend? Next up is, books are too unnecessarily long. Books don't need to be as long as they are. A lot of them only contain 200 pages of plot anyway. Oh my god, I just read, so it should be already posted, but I read Vampire Academy as like a fun, let's read this old viral book thing. The lack of plot was mind-boggling, and I completely agree. I feel like so many books now, especially, we've kind of talked about this on my channel, but like Kindle Unlimited pays you by, I think now they've changed it to pages read. It used to be like percentage read, but now I think it's pages read. People are just pumping out books that are way too fucking long, and there's nothing to back it up. You know, I also just read the Prison Healer trilogy, and that as well, like the entire first book could have been 25% of its length and combined into the second book, and I feel like it would have been a really good duology, but we're just stretching these books out a little bit too long. I love me a long book. I love me a long movie. Obviously, I make like 2+ hour videos all the time. I love long content. If I love a world, I enjoy reading a lot. But if it's just such an empty plot, like the Prison Healer, for example, I enjoyed some of the characters. I was interested in seeing how the story ended, and I was happy to be in that world for a bit, but it was tiring to read when there's no plot or just like bad plot. So I agree. I also think that's why I hold authors who write, especially fantasy standalones, I like put them on such a higher level, because being able to create a world, write a story beginning to end in one book is really excellent. So shout out to my girl Margaret Rogerson. The fact that she could create Sorcery of Thorns, it's how many pages? And I think about it all the time. I love the characters, I love the world. It was enough, and then I could leave. You know, I think if she had tried to make that into a duology or a trilogy or something else, it wouldn't have hit as hard. So yeah, I do think that the dragging out of plots is no good. Oh my god, why am I like a zombie now? Is the sun coming out? Okay. Okay, I have a lot, they kind of combine, so I'm gonna separate them, but we have, I know a lot of people like annotating books, but I hate when people write in books, specifically with pen, unless there's like a clear sticky note. That's fine, but directly on the book? Someone else said, the trend of putting a million coordinated colored tabs in your book seems so silly to me. Books should be kept as neat as possible, no annotations, no spine breaking. And yeah, I've gotten people asking, like I've gotten comments asking me how I annotate my books, and I'm like, I don't annotate my books. I do love a good underline. I absolutely will write in my books on the page. I will underline things, but I will never like write a note in like the borders or anything like that. I just kind of underline a line that might stick out to me. But yeah, I've seen there's like a recent, I don't know if it's recent, but I've seen a trend of people doing like really aesthetic kind of for Instagram annotating, where it's like a romantic scene and they will like highlight a word, heart a word, use glitter gel pen, all of this stuff. Sometimes it's kind of cute, but I'm just like if I were to ever reread that book, it would completely take me out of the story to see all of this like glitter pen stuff going on. But again, everybody's got their own thing. It's fine. But yeah, I'm not an annotations girl. I also think that it's the way that I read. Perhaps I read to like get completely lost in the story, and if I were to be focusing on annotating, I would remember that I was in the real world and kind of wouldn't allow myself to just kind of get lost and kind of tumble into the book. So yeah, for the way that I read, annotations just doesn't make sense. I'm glad some people like it, but yeah, I'm not an annotations fan. And then going off of that last unpopular opinion where someone said no spine breaking, we have cracked spines on books aren't that bad. I like cracking the spines. I hate reading from hardbacks. I need to crack the spine to comfortably read. Physical books need to be lived. I hate to see pristine books break the spine. Yeah, where's my, oh, I don't have it with me right now, but yeah, I'm a spine breaker as well. I love that feeling of opening a new page and kind of yeah, I love it. I love when a book is, like one person said, lived in or loved. For some books it's different. Like I have the paperback version of the Once Upon a Broken Heart and Ballad of Never After, I have a feeling I'm gonna read those like very like carefully because I just adore those covers so much. So I agree, but leave your thoughts down below. Crack the spine or not. Next up, I have a question for you guys. I think I live in a bubble. I know I live in a bubble. Actually, I know I live in a bubble. Because I live in Korea and our bookstores, like I have like one particular bookstore that I frequent, and it's kind of like a Barnes & Noble. It's called Kyobo, and they do have a nice English section. They're expanding it a lot, but it used to be like bestsellers, classics, and then like books that have recently been turned into film. And that was it. So until recently, we didn't have like the Colleen Hoover fever didn't make it to Korea until very recently. So I just kind of, the only stuff that I ever heard about Colleen Hoover was not good. And so I got so many people saying, unpopular opinion, but I don't like Colleen Hoover. Someone actually said, this is probably not unpopular, but Colleen Hoover books are not it. Like, I feel like that's not an unpopular opinion. For me and who I know in my life, I feel like that's actually a popular opinion, but I also don't know, like, I don't live in the US where she's really popular, stuff like that. So let me know your thoughts. Is Colleen still the it girl? I don't know. Yeah, so I was surprised how many people thought that that was unpopular because I thought most people knew, but I don't know. Now it's so dark again. Next up, I'm not even going to react to this because I'm scared. I'm just gonna put them on the screen. Next up, we've got three people in total. I love the surprised baby trope emoji every time. I don't hate the pregnancy trope. I like the pregnancy trope. Cool. Good for you. I just feel like because for me, pregnancy is so scary and stressful and something that I personally do not ever want to partake in. The amount of really scary health things that happen to you. Like, I've had a couple friends who've had really traumatic pregnancies and births. If there's a surprise pregnancy in a book, I immediately get so scared. It's not like a romantic thing, you know? No, it's very scary. And so for me, it makes me so stressed. It makes me so scared for that pregnant person. I also think logistically of like, oh my God, they aren't prepared. It makes me personally so stressed. It's just like territory that I never personally want to think about. If there's a character like that is pregnant in a book, for some reason I don't care. Like if they're already pregnant or like, you know, I'm trying to think of a book where, oh, okay, so like Book Lovers, for example. The sister is pregnant, I think. Did I just make that up? I think she's pregnant. And so they go on like a vacation. You know, once this baby is born, she's not going to have enough time for vacation. So like, let's go on a little sister vacation. That, okay, fine. But if it's a surprise pregnancy, stress, fear, terrifying. I'm okay with pregnant characters, but like, don't spring it on me, okay? So I'm glad you like it, but hard pass for me. Next up, these two are kind of similar and I agree with them. Number one, I do not give a shit about the color of a character's hair. And then I don't really care for elaborate clothes descriptions. She's wearing a blue dress? Okay, let's move on. And yeah, I agree. While I do love detailed explanations of like scenery, architecture, food, oh my God, describe the food till the cows come home, I love. But if we're really hooked on like how a character looks or how a character dresses, I don't care. I was actually talking to my friend Susan about this, is like, I can't picture faces. Like when I'm picturing characters, to me, it's not incredibly important how the author might describe them because I'm going to be kind of picturing these vague, blurry outlines of people. It's not something that I care about. And even if you tell me that a boy is blonde, I'm not going to picture him as a blonde boy. I think that if it's important to the story, then it makes sense. But if it's just like vaguely telling me that like that fae guy has golden eyes, I'm like, well, I'm not gonna picture that ever. I'm not gonna picture golden eyes. Yeah, I think for the most part, I don't really care about descriptions. Again, I do think there are times when it's important, but yeah, I could do with less. Looking at you, shadows between us. Looking at you. Next up, authors who make cringy TikTok/reels give me the ick. I agree. Even authors that I love, I would not follow them. I don't follow them on Instagram because I just don't want to know them. I want to ignore the person behind the curtain, you know? So I think the more that I learn that it's a real human that created these fictional people, the less likely I am to kind of fall into a story and forget that this is fake, you know? So there's quite a few authors that make funny TikToks about like being an author or their characters, and it really, I wouldn't say it gives me the ick, but it turns me off immediately, and I don't engage with that content because again, it just like ruins a lot of things. For example, I follow Stephanie Garber because whenever she talks, she's talking about just kind of like the publishing process, and then she'll share fan art, which I'm fine with. V.E. Schwab, I follow her. She talks a lot about the writing process, like actually being a writer and how hard it is and stuff like that. Totally fine. But when it's like people are doing the like trends, the memes, the work, whatever, you know, total turn off. And I feel bad because I know that a lot of times there's pressure to do so by the publishing houses, or to like, if you go viral on TikTok, you're gonna get a better book deal kind of thing. So I like don't want to hate on them because it's weirdly becoming part of everyone's job. I'm sure that they're also kind of cringing, but yeah, there's quite a few authors, I'm not gonna name names, but I steer clear. Steer clear. Okay, this person gets me 100%. Pet names are rarely done well. Princess, baby, never okay. Vomit emoji. Huh. Oh my god, I was just reading The Prison Healer. Oh my god. The main love interest loves to say sweetheart, and that just is, to me, such like an older person. Like, it sounds like something a grandma would say. Or like a dad to their daughter. Like, sweetheart, it was turning me off the whole book, and he says it a lot because he's a real soft boy. But yeah, I agree. Baby, get the fuck out of here. Also in The Prison Healer, because that's like the most recent book I read, the funny character said sweet cheeks. I don't mind sunshine. I personally, in my life, enjoy ironic baby names. So if someone's really grumpy, if you call them Sunshine, I like that. But princess, unless it's like to a very manly guy. If it were a hockey romance and the girl is calling the guy princess, I could be into that. But yeah, for the most part, pet names, not done well. Not done well. Give me, like, I've said this before, but like, don't say baby, call me ugly baby. You know, like, I like the kind of, not mean ones, but like I said, kind of ironic, kind of funny, kind of poking fun at each other. I love that a lot. But yeah, pet names are rough. Another person who understands me. First kiss scenes are better than spicy scenes. 1000% yes. I am so into slow burns. Like, please give me hundreds of pages with good plot. We've discussed this, okay? Give me plot, but give me hundreds of pages of yearning. That's fine. And then hit me with like one kiss scene in the book. I'm happy. That's what I want. So yeah, I completely agree. First kiss scenes, so much better than spicy scenes. Smut people, sound off in the comments. Ooh, and then this one, getting a little serious. I saved this for like deeper into the video. Someone said, and I don't think that this is an unpopular opinion. I think this is a popular one, but the book community, specifically Book Talk, is so toxic / judgmental for no reason. And so I'm not on Book Talk. I'm not really engaged on Bookstagram. I kind of post there and occasionally scroll through, but like I wouldn't say I'm part of the community. For BookTube, I was actually talking to a couple of my friends who are part of the community and are kind of veering away from it and trying to pivot to other things because the book community has treated them so horribly. I think that's why today I was kind of looking at the difference between my Bookstagram and my BookTube, and I feel like I did this sort of subconsciously. I don't only read fantasy books, but I tend to I feel most comfortable posting about quote unquote silly fantasy books or like silly romance books, like books that are light and fun and people can have kind of fandoms and feelings about these books, but they're not that serious. And like we're all able to kind of laugh at ourselves, because if you're taking a book about winged men too seriously, I feel like we're relatively mature enough, at least the people who have found my channel, we're relatively mature enough to like love something but still be like, what? You know, we can laugh at ourselves. I really appreciate that about this channel, is that for the most part, the people who watch this channel are open to laughing about themselves. It's never that deep. But if you were to talk about books that take themselves a little bit more seriously. Hi, for example, this happened a couple years ago, but I remember talking about how I didn't like, what was it? The Bell Jar, maybe, by Sylvia Plath. And so many people commented saying like, wow, so lucky that you've never experienced depression. And that was like, I was in a depressive episode. So like the fact that people were then saying like, oh, well, your depression isn't valid because you didn't get a book about depression. And it became really personal and really mentally damaging for me. And so that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about like more serious content. You can tell me like you're wrong for being Team Edward instead of Team Jacob or something. Not picking sides. It's an example. But like when someone comes at you and says, well, your opinion isn't valid because you have never been sexually assaulted, you have never been depressed, and it's like, fuck you, right? So that's what I'm saying, is those conversations can be more damaging than the kind of silly arguments we can get in when it comes to smut, romance, fantasy. Okay? So on my Instagram, I'm more likely to I don't actually talk about it. I just kind of post quotes because I'm scared to talk about it. Books that are a little more serious, when we're talking about lit fic, when we're talking about memoirs, when we're talking about classics. And I know that we know that when I say serious books or serious readers, I'm not saying that fantasy or anything like that is unserious. Please don't misconstrue. You know that I have love and respect for authors and readers of all kinds. I'm just bad at words. I think that because so much of the book community, this is me just like off the cuff, right? I haven't really thought about this. Sorry to editing Carrie if you're gonna have to delete this, but basically, I have friends who talk about more literary stuff, and the amount of hate that they get is bigger and very different and very personal compared to when I get negative comments when I talk about fantasy. I don't know how to pinpoint it exactly, but there is definitely like a very different vibe when someone is critiquing you for talking about a classic or talking about like a beloved kind of, dare I say, hot girl books, right? People up in fucking arms about people jokingly saying hot girl books. It's a joke. I feel like people don't take me seriously enough to say horrible things about my opinions because my opinions are about vampires. Like, the amount of vitriol that is spewed by people who are fans of different genres, like, it's basically like there are different genres of hate, I feel like, in the book community. But let's talk about consuming content. For example, I love Reads with Rachel. However, my girl posted a video slandering Stephanie Garber's work, and I just didn't click on it because I didn't want my little heart broken. I didn't want to hear her talk about it, and that's okay. I can still love and support her, and if I see something that like, ooh, damn, that's gonna hurt my heart, I don't engage with it. I think that we need to learn that YouTube, every video you click is a choice. You are responsible for what content you consume, And I think that if we all got better at that, things would be, I don't know, things would be nicer. But yeah, I do think that there's a very interesting side of the book community, and I think it comes from identity and identifying yourself as a reader. I'm not wording this correctly, but yeah, I think that it's a lot of like, people place a lot of their identity, it's all linked to the books that they read, the fandoms that they're in. And so if they disagree with something that someone says about a book that they consider a piece of the puzzle that makes up themselves, people get quite mad about that. So I think that we should, like, collectively, myself included, start working on not attaching who we are to what we read. That might help us out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, sooner or later, the irony is those people are pushing all of the people who do talk about different genres. They're making those people so upset that they're leaving BookTube. So all you're gonna have are people talking about stupid fairy books. I'm the only one that's gonna stay. You're just really damaging your own community by pushing out people who are talking about the books that you like. So again, self-harm. But speaking of, the only work of really serious literature I've ever talked about on this channel, someone said, I love Crave. And then someone also said, not all the popular books need to be 5 stars. Sometimes all you need is a trashy book. I agree. Okay, this made me crack up. Someone said, we need uglier protagonists. I also deserve representation. Someone said, anyone who enjoys Murakami is straight up questionable. Side eye, skull emoji. Not me sitting here with a Haruki Murakami tattoo. So let's talk about it. If you don't know, Haruki Murakami is a very famous, possibly one of the most famous Japanese authors, still alive, still writing, even though I don't like any of his new work. And he is known for writing kind of the same story over and over again, where he has a very apathetic loser dude who eventually has to go on some kind of weird, eerie adventure that involves jazz bars, lost cats, libraries, late night strolls, I don't know. So the critique for his writing is that his female characters are often sexualized, and people say that they're used just as like sexual tools, that they're very 2D, not fleshed out characters. They're just there to kind of bang our loser character. They're always having sex, these women. Always having sex. My take on it is, having read almost all of Murakami's work, I haven't finished his newest one. My take on his women has always been that Murakami, as a man, as a human man, thinks that women, or just like femininity in general, is almost magical. Like, I think that and he writes about it a little bit in his book, Men Without Women. For him, how I see it is that women are this like locked box, that like they have this inner world that he can never and will never understand. And like, that's why his characters are a little bit 2D, is because they have basically like a different life that our protagonist never really knows about. For example, Wind Up Bird Chronicle. The wife has like, she goes to work, she has all of these different lives, she's so busy, she's doing all these other things, but we never see that because the protagonist is just kind of this loser man who stays at home and who's unemployed. And so all of the women have things going for them off the page that our loser man can never access, because he's a man and he's a loser, and women are neither of those things to Murakami. For me, I think that if you're gonna call him a misogynist, it's not like he's a woman hater, it's that he views women not as like humans, but as these kind of like mystical beings that he worships and doesn't understand. He always writes a similar male character as the lead, and they're always like fucked up and like can't handle society, and they're like dealing with all of this shit because they're just stupid men. And usually it's the women that push the plot forward or change the course of the man's life, because the man by himself is just nothing. So when people, like, I think it's a more nuanced discussion. I agree that we need to talk about how Murakami writes about women. I think that he knows he can't write women because women are these magical, wonderful things, which is not good either, right? Women are humans. I will link an interview down below with a female Japanese author who is a fan of Murakami, who actually interviewed him, and Murakami was actually like confused that he was labeled a misogynist. She basically asked him, like, what do you think about this? And he was like, what? So yeah, I think it's really, he's not a woman hater. He's a man who thinks women are a different species, but like a better species. Does that make sense? Let me know your thoughts down below. But yeah, I think that he has so many interesting thoughts, and he's changed the way that I read and the way that I write. And yeah, I have a tattoo that's inspired by a character, scene, concept, in Dance Dance Dance, and I still think it's a beautiful piece of writing. And yeah, so Murakami discussion, make it happen in the comments. Thank you. We're almost done, okay? After that, cannot stand dual POV. If it's in the first person, I only want to know one perspective. I'm hit or miss on dual POVs. I used to love it, now it's tiring, and sometimes I feel like it's not done super well. I think that authors, I forget what I was reading recently, but it was like the author kind of labeled it as if we were switching POVs, but it really was just, it wasn't their POV. It was written in third person still. I don't know. Long story short, I kind of agree with you. Dual POV, multiple POV is hard to do well. I also just want these two users to fight each other. We have friends to lovers is superior to enemies to lovers, and then friends to lovers gives me the ick. And finally, ending with, I hate when the guy is all, I'll burn the world down for you. Boy, if you don't sit down right now. Yeah, I forget where I saw it, but there was I think it was a tweet about like, I'll burn the world down for you, but it's like an office romance or something. Yeah, I sometimes, like the whole like, who hurt you thing, I'm into it. I feel like in real life, if someone's that obsessed with me, like, calm down, you know? I like it when like other characters say it. Like if a character is like, he's looking at you like he would burn the world down for you, great. But if the actual person says, I will burn down the world for you, maybe not. That sounds like a Fall Out Boy lyric. 'Cause I swear I'd burn the city down to show you the light. You know. So anyway, this video got long. It's still raining so hard. And yeah, I wonder if that opened up some discussions. Let me know your thoughts down below. Sorry to Aaron Warner fans. Yeah, I will catch you guys later. And remember, in the description box, you can go to squarespace.com/caricanread and get 10% off of your first website or domain. Thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Okay, I need to edit this, and then I'm gonna work on my June wrap up because I read so many books in June. And yeah, I will catch you then. Okay, hope you're all doing well. Be civil in the comments because it's never that deep, and catch you later.